Here we go with another FAFO. Nissan is planning to lay off, or has already laid off, 9,000 employees and cut the CEO's salary in half. And this is based on a decline in sales and the focus on global costs potentially rising thanks to the tariffs that are going to be in place under the Trump administration. So, this is my advice. If you have a car that is overseas, such as a Nissan, it's a Japanese-made car, if you have a Volkswagen, if you have a Mitsubishi, anything that is going to require an import to be able to fix it, I would either suggest selling that car or purchasing any sort of parts or maintenances that you're going to have for that car in the near future, because the imports on the parts are going to be outrageous if the tariffs are put into place. So, if you own a Nissan and you voted for him, FAFO.
Elon Musk just sent an email to federal employees. The email, which was sent at 5 p.m., states that employees have to respond by Monday afternoon with all the work that they had done during the previous week to see if they're actually effective at their job. And if they haven't sent a letter back by Monday, then it's taken as a resignation.
Swing states that foolishly went red are entering the find out stage right now. The #1 city for tourism in this country is Las Vegas, Nevada. And maybe they should have thought their votes through a little bit more before they elected a man whose policy makes the entire world hate us and makes all travelers want to avoid us. I have seen dozens of videos posted here on TikTok of people walking the strips and through the hotels, and it looks like a ghost town there. On top of that, the MGM Grand has started layoffs. Just like all the Midwest farmers who voted for Trump and are now going bankrupt due to his terrible policies, a city and state that relies solely on tourism should not have voted for a man who said that we don't need the rest of the world and that America first. It just seems like common sense would tell you that that kind of rhetoric would not be good for foreign tourism business. The fact that all of these states that swung red for Trump are getting hit the hardest is the greatest example of karmic, poetic justice I can think of during my lifetime.
So Donald Trump just lowered the work week from 40 hours to 32 hours a week. And I'm over here like, who wants to go to work anyway? Who's trying to get rich?
I'm seeing these layoffs just piling up. Like every single week, it's another company cutting hundreds, sometimes thousands of workers. And it's crazy because this ain't just some seasonal thing. This is long-term stuff. People getting let go after years on the job, whole departments getting wiped. And yeah, maybe they say it's to cut costs or restructure, but let's be real, this is all part of a bigger economic mess. And look, I get it. Trump says he's pro-business and all that, but people are hurting. This ain't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. This is about folks losing healthcare, losing retirement, losing stability. Like, you telling me this is good for the economy? I just saw a nurse post about getting laid off after 15 years. 15. And that's not even tech. That's healthcare. When healthcare workers are getting let go, that should be a red flag for everybody. So yeah, they'll spin it like it's part of the plan, or it's temporary, or it'll bounce back. But for the people living through it right now, ain't nothing temporary about losing your job when you got bills to pay and kids to feed.
I wish I was coming to y'all with a better update, but the reality is that so far in 2025, tech companies have already laid off 20,000 people. You've probably heard about big ones like Workday laying off 1,700 employees, but there are lots of smaller ones impacting anywhere from 10 to 200 people. And that doesn't include the large number of people who are being laid off from our federal government, including nearly 10,000 people working for USAID. Now, the reality is that tomorrow the first BLS report of 2025 comes out, and I don't think it's going to show any sort of good news. I don't necessarily think it's going to show terrible news. It's just basically going to show that the job market has been relatively stagnant. And I think just based on the current situation in the US, this is probably going to continue for a while. And we are probably going to have fewer and fewer supports to help people get through it. So if you are someone who is affected by one of these layoffs, or if you're getting worried about that, a couple of things I would be thinking about. One, is there something that you can monetize, something that you can contract around? Maybe it's social media, maybe it's coaching, maybe it's starting a small Etsy shop, like I don't know what it might be, but considering ways that you can have some other income streams. And believe me when I tell y'all that I think that this sucks that everyone has to constantly think about other ways to make money because we can't count on our jobs and we can't count on our government. But that is the reality of how things are in the US. I would be making sure I have my resume ready. I would make sure that my LinkedIn profile is up to date. I would make sure that I am networking constantly, even if you're employed. You do not want to be scrambling to do these things once you lose your job. Look at the industries where our government seems invested in creating jobs, which is manufacturing and AI. And I would be focusing more on trying to build community so that you have more people that you can lean on if you need it. Those could end up being people who are able to give you part-time employment or where you can trade services for the goods that you need, that sort of thing. I think we're in for a really rough period. They have told us that it's going to get worse before it gets better, and I don't know when better comes. So the best thing we can do is prepare ourselves for that outcome and try to find resources and supports and community to help us navigate it.
Ford and GM are laying off workers? What happened to all the electric vehicle investment? Trump happened. He killed the EV incentives and slapped tariffs on car parts. Now costs are up, demand is down, and jobs are toast. But tariffs are supposed to help American workers. Yeah, if you ignore how supply chains work. US automakers need parts from around the world. Donnie Doofus just made them more expensive. But wait, those EV incentives were for our manufacturers, right? Yeah, they were helping Ford and GM compete against Tesla. You know, the company making a ton of cars in China. Tesla makes cars in China? Yep, more than half of their almost 2 million global deliveries. Meanwhile, Ford and GM were hiring here until Trump pulled the plug. But he's pro-America. Right, which is why he's wrecking US automakers and helping China dominate EVs. This don't make no damn sense. Oh, it will. When Trump reverses course, restores the incentives, and claims victory for saving the domestic EV market. He wouldn't. Oh, he absolutely would. And his supporters will eat it up like it's the first time it happened. Man, I really gotta stop voting based on hats. You think?
At this point, it's clear millions of people already regret their vote. They believed in promises, but now they're watching jobs disappear, prices go up, and nothing changed for the better. The reality hit hard, and for a lot of folks, it's not what they expected, and definitely not what they voted for.
Huge breaking news. A federal judge just hit pause on Trump's massive federal layoffs. Doge's plan to slash 20 agencies temporarily frozen. They were bulldozing through firings, no process, no oversight, just chaos, until Susan Ilston stepped in like, you don't get to dismantle the government without Congress. So now there's a 2-week restraining order and a major court hearing set for May 22nd. This is the first real check on Doge since it started. Momentum's shifting, and we're not backing down. For more details and full breakdowns about this story, subscribe to my free Substack. Link is in the bio.
Trump's bringing jobs back. The economy's about to take off. You mean the economy where he's firing federal workers, slashing jobs, and deporting entire industries? He's just draining the swamp. More like draining paychecks. We only added 143,000 jobs last month, way below expectations. That just means more jobs for Americans. Oh yeah? You planning to pick crops in 100-degree heat for $3 an hour? Well, someone will. Nope. Farms will shut down, food prices will spike, and businesses will struggle to find workers. The free market will fix it. The free market is watching jobs disappear and wondering what the hell just happened. Well, government's too big anyway. So the big plan is to fire everyone and hope for the best? Genius. Trump knows what he's doing. He sure does. Just turns out he's better at destroying jobs than creating them.
Hey TikTok, what's happening? It's been a while. What's poppin'? What's good? Yeah, I'm not good. About 2 months ago, I left a relatively stable job at a very large software company to take a chance, as I have done at other times in my past, take a chance on a smaller e-commerce company. A former colleague of mine worked there. He said, hey, it's a good opportunity. There's some exciting stuff going on here. We can really make a difference. You'll get back into pre-sales. You'll get paid more. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? I figure this will last maybe 6 months, maybe a year, and then I can land on my feet somewhere else if it doesn't work out. Or if it does work out, it'll be great. 30 days, exactly 30 days after I joined, the company had a 20% reduction in force, which included me.
If you have less than $1 million in assets, please listen to me very carefully. The market right now is down 1,600 points again today. We are not only headed for a recession, but a possible depression. Okay, so what's the next domino to fall when markets crash? Companies are going to start announcing mass layoffs. If you have a job, okay, and you don't have at least $1 million in assets to ride out this wave, please go to your boss and say, is my job secure? And if the company starts to pursue layoffs, what would I need to do to secure my job? Take on other duties, work more hours, do whatever you can, because getting another job to replace the one you lose is going to be extremely difficult in this economic environment. And it doesn't look like it's gonna get better anytime soon. It's getting worse by the hour. Please protect yourself and your family and your job before it's too late.
So yeah, things aren't looking good, and a lot of people are finally waking up to that. If you're seeing the same where you live, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and follow. I've got more updates coming, and you need to see what's really going on out there. Stay sharp.